With the main story of Helluva Boss involving Stolas and Blitz, I feel the series have failed to dive into Stolas' marriage with Stella properly. With how much Helluva Boss wants to show the complications of Blitz's relationship with Stolas, I feel that we can no longer ignore how simplified the failing marriage has become. Not tackling these issues more is holding not only Stolas as a character back, but also a large amount of the story of Stolas being more intriguing.
It's embarrassing! I'm glad one egg fell out of me so I could stop pretending to want to his scrawny twig ass.
So it really has become a common critique that Vivzie is not strong when it comes to developing female characters in any role, and Stella is no different in this case. You can easily see Stella as a stuck-up that likes to make Stolas' life miserable. That much was solidified in the first episode of Season 2. That episode completely devalued the potential she had as a character and made the audience lose interest in hearing her side out completely because of her openly admitting that
I like tormenting you. I want to keep reminding you of what you did.
Which is unfortunate because it puts the failing marriage in a black and white situation. It didn't help that Helluva Boss reminded us of how terrible she is instead of building it naturally. I'm not saying that we should have some time to sympathize with her, far from it. However, I do think there are ways to show her mean streak without her seeming to be one-dimensional. There should be a deeper meaning for a marriage to be sour. Showing qualities as to why Stolas has stayed with her for as long as he did can go a long way in developing him further, as well as make Stella somewhat more interesting. However, there is certainly one thing that needs to be acknowledged in order for that to happen.
I will do my best, father.
Wonderful. Also, son, you are destined to sire a precautionary addition to the Gowisha family, so you are now engaged. Congratulations. Isn't she charming?
With how this series has been so far, there aren't a lot of opportunities to see the story about why the marriage has been failing in the first place. For a variety of the series, we only see bullet points being thrown our way, and it doesn't dive deeper into that. The biggest example is the arranged marriage custom that has been placed within this particular relationship. Now, for a lot of us, arranged marriages have always looked frowned upon, but there's a lot of important details within it that you could use to help develop the idea of how a royal family operates within these customs. Just the stress alone in having to uphold the standard expected of these two can bring in a lot of tension to those who don't truly love each other. However, a lot of moments for us to witness the demise of the marriage are squandered for a lot of cheap gags that do not allow the relationship between Stelas and Stolas to develop. Not even the complications of how it affects Octavia gets explored, which does lead me to my final point into why the story doesn't work well in the long run.
He'd rather spend his time just screaming at my mum. Why does he hate her more than he loves me?
The Gowisha family as a whole is not important to the character of Stolas. Stella, Octavia, Paimon, and Ardraelphus have not done nearly enough to prove how important they are to his development. As I alluded to in the last segment, I do believe that since this is a royal family and a big deal in Hell, they should be more prominent in order to see Stolas' full potential, especially his wife and his daughter. A lot of Octavia's moments with Stolas doesn't feel earned, because in the episode she was featured in, Stolas clearly sees her as an afterthought with how much he was eyeing Blitz. Not to mention, we really don't see her interact with Stella at all. She seems invisible to the story between her own parents, which builds a lot of frustration because she's the one getting hurt the most. She should be seen as more than Daddy's little girl. Seeing Paimon being more involved as well could add pressure to make sure Stolas doesn't screw the marriage up, and it helps build that important wedge between him and his wife. Having him called to chastise Stolas, bringing down his mental state, will make him believe his family name is more important than his individual freedom. Finally, Ardraelphus can be the thorn of Stolas' side by using Stella in order to try and get a cut of the Gowisha dime. He seems to be a character that's very manipulative and will do anything to place his brother-in-law in a corner. Andrelphus can also help develop Stella more as a character, as he is clearly using her as a tool for his devious plans. All of this can really push Stolas further as a character, and would give his viewpoint of Blitz a much deeper meaning. Blitz being his escape from all of the pressure when it comes to royalty would bring a ton of sympathy. It helps shows that Stolas' time with Blitz makes him forget all of his problems back at home. This gives the audience a chance to see that Blitz isn't his sexual release, but his mental one.